Friends, I know you're excited. The day is finally here. Let's get into it. I'm going to talk about the Unit 6 final, which is the APCSP exam. And that's really all we got to talk about because it's due today. All right. I want to be very clear. You must submit your exam. Your APCSP exam must be submitted, explore, and create tasks in order to pass 10th grade computer science for trimester 3. However, if your documents are not ready, you should not be submitting to the College Board. We will let you know when you are approved to submit. If you have not completed your explore or create tasks, then continue to update your responses based on the feedback that we're giving you, and then resubmit them in the Google Classroom. Do not worry, we will be available all day today in order to help you get them in, so do not freak out too much. Again, here are those videos that we have created earlier. Here are some examples for the explore task and for the create task. And then I wanted to go over some of the misconceptions that I've been seeing in those assignments. And so for the 2A, your video has to match what we see in your response. And so in your response for 2A, you should be talking about whatever happens in your video with your code. Your videos have to be less than 1 minute, and make sure you're maximizing the screen size that your program is in. It should be the largest thing that's in the screen. It shouldn't be like some small window off to the right somewhere. Just wanted to highlight a great response for 2A. Brittany, she talks about how, first of all, she identifies the programming language as Replit. She identifies the purpose of the programming language, hitting the red squares and getting some points. And then she explains explicitly what is happening in the video. The video is demonstrating how the program works and what to do to win. Boom. 1, 2, 3 has all of the bullet points. You got those points. Thank you, Brittany. So, 2B, things we saw. You need to discuss 2 distinct points in your development process. You cannot just kind of talk about 2 things. It has to be very, very clear. Here is the first one, and here is the second one, and then discuss what those developments were. Make sure those developments are something that revolve around the code, not just randomly, oh, before I was thinking about writing a program, no. Make sure it's something specifically that has to do with the code itself. Next, identify whether you work with a partner or not, and then be very explicit with your responses. If they're asking you for something, then use that prompt in your response so that it's very clear that you are responding to it. Mike M had a great one for 2B, and I posted that here. He has 2 clear points that he points out. He talks about what those points are. He very, very clearly identifies whether or not he works collaboratively or independently, and then talks about the independent assignment that he specifically worked on. All right, 2C. And this actually applies for all the times in which you're putting your code in. You should be cropping and zooming in on the code. It should not seem like very, very small or far away. That's just strange. We can't read it. We can't see it. Fix that so that it's easier to see your code. And then, as always, be very explicit with your responses. Here's another example from Jermaine, who's been killing it. Very, very strong response. They ask, describe how the algorithm above integrates 2 or more algorithms to form a new algorithm. He identifies the first algorithm, then he identifies the second algorithm, and then he says these 2 algorithms work together to make the walking sequence in the game that includes the walking animation and controls the walk. Blah, blah, blah. He's definitely got those points in there. Thank you, Jermaine. Now, 2D, which you had on Tuesday. Again, make sure you're zooming in on that code and you're cropping it so that's the biggest thing you see. And be very explicit when you're explaining how your code helps to manage the complexity of your program. And this is what I mean by saying very explicit. If they ask you to tell them how your code or how that abstraction helps you manage the complexity of your program, then that's exactly what you say. This one, I believe, was Banana Lucy. Here we go. She talks about how exactly she's using that abstraction in her program. And then towards the end, she talks about exactly what it does to help her manage her complexity. She says, this abstraction helped manage the complexity of my program because in order to correctly execute these lines of code, I need to abstract any code that didn't make my blocks either give me 5 points or eliminate 1. Cool. Thank you. Appreciate that. Section 3. First of all, people didn't even put it in there. Like, they did not even include Section 3. That was low-key my fault. I get it. I kind of put it towards the bottom of 2D and didn't really tell you to look out for it. So I'll eat that. But please get that Section 3 completed. Many people missed it, and so you're going to need to get that filled out if you want full points. And then tell us whether or not you actually had assistance creating your program or not. One example that we have here is Miss Lucy again. She says, this was a group project. The highlighted section is what my partner helped me with, and then has all of the code, which many of you have, but some people did not put all of the code. Don't just put some of it. For Section 3, you need all of the code. It's very clear exactly what Brianna's partner did to contribute. What do you need to do today? The same thing you have been doing. Get that explore task done. Get that create task done. That's it. Just get it done. We are going to have some office hours today at 12:30 p.m. I'm going to remind you, do not submit your documents to the College Board unless they are approved. I know you're feeling the pressure. I know you're feeling anxious, but it's all right. We got you. We're going to get you there. Don't worry. See you all today at 12:30 and then again at 2:30 plus Ultra.